I have statement 1, statement 2, statement 3. So my output is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Order of execution is 1, 2, 3, 4. But I have a condition. My statement has to execute only when a particular condition is true. My statement has to execute only when a particular condition is true. Then I go for statement 1. If condition then I'm going to get if condition is true 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When the condition is true, execute these statements. When the condition is false, one, 2, 6, 7. When the condition is true, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When a condition is false, it is 1, 2, 6, 7. So execute the statements only when a particular condition is true. Then we are going to write if condition. Let us take an example. If industry is banking, set rating as hot, what I'm doing here, if industry equal to banking, rating equal to hot, so when the condition is true, these statements are going to execute. Now I'm giving here next. If age is more than 30, experience is, city is Hyderabad, then set salary as 10K or bonus as 5K. If age is more than 30 and city is Hyderabad, then set salary as 10K, bonus as 5K. What I'm doing here, if age is greater than 30 and city equal to Hyderabad, salary equal to K, bonus equal to 5K. We are putting the examples like this. Let's do other examples. Complete this example. If lead source is web, then put rating as hot, the company as complete these examples. Close it as true. Complete these three examples. Complete these three examples. Complete three examples. Read source equal to web. Same story here. If experience is more than 5, this is how we are writing the if condition. If the condition is true, perform this operation. Right. Now let us go to the next step. If else. Look at the statements. Statement 1, statement 2. Else. If else. This is how we got it. So what happened in this case? If the condition is true, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12. When I say when given a condition is true, if will be executed. When this condition is false, else will be executed. If the condition is true, if is executed. If the condition is false, else is executed. We have condition false, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. When the condition is true, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12. When the condition is false, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is how we are executing. If the condition is true, run this. Condition is false, run this. So let us take some examples here. If city is Hyderabad, then set salary as 50K and bonus as other than Hyderabad, TK. Right. Write the logic. Start writing the conditions for this. So we have written that if city equal to Hyderabad, we are putting it in this way. Print the bonus. Similarly, if industry is energy, we have rating is warm. If industry equal to energy, then rating equal to hot, ownership equal to public, else rating equal to warm. So what we are doing? If else condition. If the condition is do this, else do this. So finally I am giving output here. Debug. Right, boss? Basic if else conditions we are writing. Now let us understand about the next one. Now what is the next one we had? Defining the functions. I hope you are good with this basic if else condition. If condition floor bracket do it. Okay. Now we want to understand how to define a function. Now what is a function? Why you go for a function? Now the point here is, if you want an action to be performed, and invoked number of times on different set of data. Look at this, everyone. I have a requirement like this. Line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. I want to run this one more time. What should I do? I want to run this 4 lines one more time. What will you do? So every time you want to run this, what we are doing? Rewriting it. I have a group of statements which I want to run again and again, depends upon the requirement. So when you want to run the group of statements again and again, when you want to run the group of statements again and again, then what will happen? Then what will happen? I have to define them again and again. I have to define them again and again. To avoid this, what we are doing for this group of statements, we are putting a scope. For this group of statements, we are putting a scope. And for this scope, I am giving a name. For this group of statements, I kept them in a scope, and again, I gave a name for the scope. Whenever I want, I'll call this scope. Again, I want to execute. The moment I say this name, automatically what happened? This will run. Let us say I give show. Like this. So whenever I want those statements to run, show. When I say show, all the 4 statements will run. Output will be line 1. Again, I want to run the same statements. Again, the same will run. Again, you want to run. So what happened? So group of statements are working together to perform a particular task. For those group of statements, you gave a name, and we are calling that group of statements with that name, which is called as a function. Now, what is the advantage of this? No need of writing again and again. Simply call the name, automatically that group of statements will run. Group of statements are kept in a scope, and there is a name given to the scope. When you want that group of statements to be executed, we call with the name. When you want those group of statements to be executed, we call with the name. Whenever I say show, all those group of statements will be running. I hope you are good with this. Now, the name what we give should have this braces. It indicates it's a function. So, generally, once again I give it. Generally, if I want group of statements, I want those group of statements to run again. Again, I want to run. Again, I want to run. Like this, I am defining. So, every time we want the same operation to perform, we are redefining the same code. Instead of redefining the same code, what I want to do, I want to put these statements in a scope. I want to put them in a scope. Give a name to the scope. We give a name to the scope. How do you execute it? Again, you want to call. Again, you want to call. Are you getting my point? Are you clear about this? Show we are calling. So every time we call a show, the group of statements will run. Every time we call a show, the group of statements will run. I hope you are good. So it's like define once, use it a number of times. It is like a define once, use it a number of times. Whenever I call a show, what is happening? Those group of statements will run. Whenever I want those group of statements to run, I will give the scope name. Whenever I want the group of statements to run, I will give the scope name. If I give a scope name, the group of statements are going to run. If I give a scope name, the group of statements are going to run. I hope you are good with this. Clear? Now, what is a function, boss? Is a group of statements to perform is a group of statements brought together to perform a particular task. What is a function? Function is a group of statements brought together to perform a particular task. Then functions are classified into without return type, parameters. With return type and with parameter. Right, boss? There are 4 types: without return type, with parameters, without return type, without parameters. Let us see. Let's take the next example. First one, without return type, without parameters. Let us take this one. Here, first syntax. Void function name. This is how we gave it. Example, create a function show. How you define? Void. Void means return nothing. Void means return nothing. Without return type. Void, return nothing. Void, method name, close the functions. Void, method name, close the functions. Let us do the other examples. Everyone just do this to get the syntaxes. Create a method deposit. Create these examples. return some value. I'll tell you. This is going to return the value. So when you define void deposit, how you call it? Deposit. When you call these statements in this will run, that's all. It's going to run deposit. This is how you are going to define, how you are going to call deposit. Create a method. Void. So we have this void display, void create, void invoke, void create data. Done. Done, boss. Okay. Now let us take them next one with parameter. Without return type. With parameters. Now look at this. Syntax, void, function name, example. It is expecting some inputs. Parameters are nothing but inputs. Create a method show the name and age as parameter. How you create? Void show string name, now look at this. Void show with name and age as parameter. String name, integer age. They are called input parameters. Now if you want to call this, how do you call it? If anybody want to call this, they have to call it. If anybody want to call it, show now what does it mean? This name I am calling. Run this method, run this function by taking name as Satish, by taking age as 33. Run this show by taking name as Raghu, age as 60. Now what is this called? With the parameters. Take these values. You are expecting a name and age. Take the name as Raghu, take age as 60, run the logic. Whatever the logic we have here, run that logic by taking this data. Okay. Next. Amount as parameter. Create a method calculate. amount, rate. Do these three examples.
Satish,
Yes.
I have a question. Can I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, in the starting, you said without return type and without parameters. For some of the examples, you have declared void of method. And again, what is the need of declaration of that method outside of the scope?
This is no. I'm saying this is to execute it. This is a definition. If you want to run it, this is how we call it.
Not this one. Without return type and without parameters.
Yeah,
Starting one.
yeah, Baba. This is defined. This is to execution. If you want to execute it, you are going to call it like this. This is the definition. This is the execution.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Any query? No. Void deposit. Void deposit. How do you execute it? If you want to execute it, this is how I'm going to execute it. Void withdraw. Every variable you have to write separately with the data type. I'm taking. This is how I create it. Create a method calculate with amount, rate, year as parameter. Now how do you execute it? Right, boss? Okay. Now let us take another example. Create a method. Create a method set data, which will take industry as if industry is banking. Do this example. Create a method set data. Do it, boss. Set data. String industry as parameter. Then I told if industry equal to banking. Public. Now void set data. If industry equal to banking, reading equal to what? So and so. Now what I'm doing, when you call this method, some logic is going to happen. When you call this method, some logic is happening here. Are you getting my point, boss? Everyone is comfortable with this? Followed, everyone? Creating a functionality, taking the input parameter, based on the industry value what you gave, logic will run. Now let us take another one. Create a method. Calculate. Which will take experience and city. If experience is more than 5 years or city is Hyderabad. If experience is more than 5 years or city is Hyderabad, then set salary as do this example. Void calculate. Run the remaining operation. Then if experience is greater than 5, or if experience is greater than 5, city equal Hyderabad, then run the operation. If experience is greater than 5, city equal Hyderabad, salary is 50,000, bonus is 5,000. Else, salary is 30,000, bonus is 3,000. We are just calculating. So what was that? It is a method. Void means no return type. It only runs the logic. It only runs the logic within this. It is not going to return any value. Whatever the changes it has made, those will happen. But it is not giving any specific value to you. It perform the operation and return. It perform the operation. But after completing the operation, it is not giving you any specific value. It will run the logic, but it's not going to give you any specific logic. If you want any specific logic to be given to you, like I told, create a record. If record was successfully created, I want to tell success. Not created, I want to tell you false. Okay, tell you. That means what? After performing the operation, you want me to notify with some value. After running the logic, you want me to notify with some value. Then I will go for run type. Look at this, everyone. Till here, everybody is good. Everyone is good with this. Clear, boss? Sure. Everyone is good with this. Online, any query from your end? Everyone is good with these examples. Everyone is good with this example. Yeah.
So we have to decide first whether we need return type or not.
Exactly. Method with no parameter. So let us see. Right? Example. Create a method. So you should return. Now, method has to return what? Name. Name will be in which format? String. So string show. So you write whatever the logic you want, but finally you have to return name. I wrote some logic here. You do whatever the stuff you want. You do whatever you want. Finally, I am giving return. So whoever calls this show, they are going to return this value. So how do you execute? Execute string, because whoever is calling the show, for those people, it is going to return a string value. What is the string value they gave? So whoever is calling the show method, they return the value called Satish Maila. Now, after performing all this logic, run this value. Whoever calls you, whoever is going to call you, for those people, return the value of name. This logic will run. After running this logic, finally, this value will be given to the person who performed this operation. Let me give you one more time, one more example. Now I give interest. Interest value will be decimal. These people have taken some value here. Then that's giving you return interest value. Return interest value. So how do you go to call? Value equal to calculate. So whoever going to call this method called calculate, it will calculate the value, is going to give interest. Now, what is the value of value? Are you clear about this? Listen. Now, this will run the method calculate. This will run the method called calculate. So whoever is calling this method, for those people, after running this operation, it is going to return the value. Did you get my point? Method with return type. Method with return type. Now let us take method with parameter. Method with return type and parameters. Method with parameters and return type. Look at the format. Create a method. Which will take age and experience as parameter. If age is above 30 or experience is more than 5 years, set salary as 3K and bonus as 5K. Find the total. Create a method which will take age and experience as parameter. If age is above 30 or experience is more than 5 years, then set salary as 50K and bonus as 5K. L salary as 30, bonus as 3K. Return the value. How you do this? Decimal, calculate, right. What they are asking to do? They told if age is above 30 or experience is above 5 years, Then what I asked you to give? Now, at the end of the game, you are asking me to return the value. You perform the logic. After performing the logic, finally give me some value to know that this is the operation you have performed. Are you getting my point? So if you are returning the value, return type, method name, parameters. Return type, method name, parameters. Return type, method name, parameters. As of now, as per your syntaxes, what is the purpose of a function or method? It's a group of statements wrapped together under one name. If you want to run the group of statements again and again, we call them with that name. So group of statements running together to perform a task. Group of statements running together to perform a task. So that's what we call as function. How many types of functions we have? 4 types. Okay. Now, if I want to call this function, how do you call it? How do you call this function? Tell me. If you want to execute this, how will you call? Call. If I give this, what will be this? Why? If you want to run this, it is a must that you have to provide. So, how do you call it? Execute. Invoke banking amount. If you want to call a method, we need to identify name of the method, comma, parameters. If the function has any parameters, whenever we are trying to invoke it, we have to invoke along with the parameters. When a function has a parameters, whenever you are trying to invoke it, we have to pass the parameters and invoke it. I hope you are good with this. Clear for everyone? So what we have called function with parameters. Function with parameters. Function without parameters. Function with return type. Function without return type. Now if I say without return type, what will you give? We simply give void. Whenever I say function without return type, what will I give? Simply I will give it as void. I hope you are good. Clear for everyone? Clear? In the Salesforce, everything will run like a class. Without creating the class, we cannot run any logic. Without creating any class, we cannot read the logic. So whatever we have seen, we are going to club it tomorrow as a class. So we are getting into Apex programming from tomorrow. That is creating a class, Apex class, and how to use the functionality. Okay. So basic functionality of writing an if, writing a statement, writing a function we are done. So tomorrow we are getting into Apex classes. Straight away from Apex classes, we are going to execute. Right, boss? I hope you are good with this. So that's all from my end. See you all in the next session.
Yeah.